Okay, so I want to talk next about handling the C-suite, which I think is in and of itself, fodder for an hour or 2 hours of presentation here. I think a lot of the stuff that I'm going to go over and that we're already talking about is, plugs directly into this. So like I said, these things all overlap. But I think just a couple of things that I want to talk about that are discrete to this particular question. A CEO that I know once told me, I don't really know what lawyers do. And my response to that, sort of overcoming my initial sort of, reaction, like, oh gosh, like you should really know, is actually good. Like you shouldn't really have to as a CEO, right? I think my goal as a GC is to make decision-making for the C-level of a company as easy as I can. I want to be the one, and I want my team to be the ones in the mines, working out the answer, evaluating the risks. And once I have a view on an issue, I want to be able to convey it without having to make my clients do a lot of work. The how to this is the hardest part. And I think that this is especially challenging when you're coming up in an organization and maybe you've been there for a few years before you get the GC job, or you're coming in fresh and you're kind of an unknown quantity. And I say that because the how is really about building credibility and trust. Because the credibility and trust is a substitute for your CEO, your CFO having to test your own logic, your own research, or your own relationship with reality, like, being called out for not knowing that our competitors do the very thing that you're telling me that we can't do. And so I think we'll get into this later when we talk about finding your voice, like at the very end. But I think the take home here is that this is a very relationship-driven job. It's not just about being their lawyer. You're not just on call and airdropping in and giving your opinion. They have to know you as a trustworthy person and a person of integrity who has their head screwed on straight. And I think the way you do that is by being really, really good at the legal side of the analysis and delivering guidance that's informed by the market and the company strategy. But it's also just like being a person that's trustworthy and credible around everything. I will get more into this. I think this maybe is one of the most important things for lawyers generally, not just GCs. But I think when it comes to handling, all of my easiest interactions are ones where I'm coming at the interaction with the assumption that what I have done is really ferreted out the issue, and that I've done the hard work, and that I'm internalizing all of the externalities that our company's leadership cares about, so that they don't have to pick it apart. Now, look, as the GC, you get asked some version of everything. And so, they don't want to talk to your team. They want to talk to you. You're a little bit expected to be a one-stop shop for everything. You're every kind of lawyer rolled into one. But the reality is that you can't be. And your clients don't know what you don't. They don't know what you don't know. So, they just know you as a lawyer. And so I think there are plenty of things that you won't know or you can't answer immediately. And I think that it's really important, and I will get more into this later, to not be self-conscious about not knowing the answer to everything or even admitting that you don't know. And I think that, pretending that you do or trying to ad-lib it is more of an abuse of trust than anything else. So I find myself saying more and more often in my career, let me do a little bit of work on that and get back to you. I don't think there's any shame there. I've never gotten in trouble for saying that. I'm going to keep that promise. I'm not going to drop the ball and disappear. But I think more lawyers should say that more often, especially in an in-house environment where the person asking you the question might not know that you're not an employment law expert, or that IP isn't what you trained for years doing. We get ambushed a lot. We get asked complex questions as we're walking down the hall. It's okay to say that I don't know right now.